the Garena Premier League 2016 summer, and we are down for the finals. First up, rather semifinals. First up, what we have is the match between Best of 5 series between Kuala Lumpur Hunters versus Bangkok Titans. We're gonna be your shoutcasters for tonight's episode. I am with me is Nip, ladies and gentlemen, our analyst for today's episode. What are your expectations?
I don't know. Both of these teams, they're looking pretty strong. Bangkok Titans, they had a very shaky beginning of the Garena Premier League. However, they did manage to step it up come the later part of the regular section of this GPL. However, KLH, they've had their ups, they've had their downs as well. So coming into this game, I'm not really sure who to expect, who's going to take this like best of 5 series.
For these two, considering
it's going to be very close.
I'm actually leaning a little for KLH, but considering the history and the previous splits performances of Bangkok Titans, you could also think that Bangkok Titans, maybe they're still good.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying that Bangkok Titans is like weaker now because maybe of the roster updates. But still, we don't know. As you have mentioned, shaky day 1, then we have day 2 where they entered really strong, even managing to defeat the supposedly top tier team for this league, Saigon Jokers.
Yeah.
But of course, that is like because of the shaky composition of Saigon Jokers. Let's see what is about to unfold on this game as we are about to proceed onto the drafting phase. Once again, guys, this is the Garena Premier League 2016 Summer Semifinals Best of 5 series between Kuala Lumpur Hunters versus Bangkok Titans.
And let's take a quick look at the bans. So we do see the Sivir, Gangplank, and Kassadin banned away from the Kuala Lumpur Hunters. The Gangplank, of course, a target ban onto Entreso and G4. Both of those really like that Gangplank, and Gangplank is just so strong right now in the meta. We also see that Sivir being banned away from the Lloyd and the Kassadin. Also another G4 signature pick. Meanwhile, on the Bangkok Titan side, you do see that Trundle, Vladimir, and Rek'Sai just very standard pick bans.
Very standard. I was thinking, is there any Syndra ban coming in for as against for Ozora Becky? But of course, like a Syndra ban is very one-dimensional ban. So it's just like a direct or a target ban against Ozora Becky, and maybe you run the risk of opening up these standard bans here as with Vladimir, Trundle, and Rek'Sai. What about the compositions here?
And looking at this, it looks very standard. We've seen these type of compositions for the past few months. I guess the only interesting thing is Bangkok Titans, they have the Tahm Kench and Kog'Maw in the bot lane. And that's just a very potent combo. That's something we started seeing maybe 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago. I think that was played by initially in one of the LCK teams. I think it was Africa actually that brought back that Kog'Maw and that Tahm Kench combo in that bot lane. So they're playing it once again here. And we do see the Syndra for Ozora Becky. And I think this is the best of 5. So I can understand why Bangkok Titans didn't want to ban it immediately. They wanted to test the waters. They want to see how potent is this Syndra going to be. Because here's one thing. This is one way you can approach a best of 5. Game 1, you let the enemy team pick whatever they want. And if you manage to beat them when they're playing their comfort picks, when they're playing their best picks, it kind of demotivates them because now they're not sure what to do in pick and ban.
That's what
like,
SKT did.
I
recall the 2015 All-Stars. I think that's what SKT did against OMG. Against China. I'm not sure if that's OMG, but that's the China team. Where they just gave away a Syndra also. Syndra main mid lane. As I recall, I just don't recall the name of the summoner coming from China, but SKT just allowed the China team to have all of their comfort picks and just dominated them in a 3-0 fashion. Like, enter game 1, it's quite close because the China team has all their comfort picks. They enter game 2 and game 3, it's just SKT dominating. They banned out China, and that's what happened. But on this one, completing the lineup of Bangkok Titans, what's happening
it's the G4Z, and it looks like Bangkok Titans, they're really embracing the show me what you got mentality, as this is arguably G4's best pick versus Ozora Becky's best pick. The Syndra versus the Zed. You don't see this at all. You don't see this anywhere. I think it's been almost several years since I've seen this matchup in a competitive game. G4 on that Zed. Zed hasn't really been that popular, but looks like G4 is willing to bring out the Zed once again and try to show Ozora Becky how it's done.
When it comes to the case of Zed, I think there's a little hype on him and because of the nerf on the Quicksilver Sash. But
yeah,
it's
that
not
really messes up Zed.
Yeah, but that's really not enough to return Zed, as there's this meta of having tax and a re-engage form of re-engage and a lot of elation when it comes to the Shield champions. Karma has a better presence right now compared to Zed. We'll see guys. And for our viewers out there, for the OGs who are watching, you can also tell us your insights. We are live on Facebook as well as on YouTube Gaming. This is the Garena Esports Philippines stream coverage for the Garena Premier League 2016. 2016 summer, we are onto the semifinals.
Yeah, and I mean, just going back to the team compositions, Echo, Elise, I believe it's also a Syndra, Jin, and the Karma for Kuala Lumpur Hunters, and you also have the Shen, Gragas, Zed, Kog'Maw, and the Tahm Kench. So both of these are very different styles of playing the game. You have a very mobile team composition on the KLH side, where it's a lot of pick and a lot of mobility.
Yeah,
meanwhile, on the Bangkok Titan side, it's a lot of very strong team fighting, very strong scaling.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see how these two types of compositions played out in this game.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is Game 1 in the best of 5 between Kuala Lumpur Hunters versus Bangkok Titans. First leg of our semifinals here at the Garena Premier League 2016 Summer. Guys, we are now live in the Summoner's Rift. Let's make the champion rundown. On the blue side, you have Kuala Lumpur Hunters. In the top lane, it's going to be 13 Ghosts. On that Echo Jungle, Cuspiel. On that Elise, in the mid lane, you have a Zora Becky donning again. That Syndra, no loss yet here at GPL. Again, for the bottom blue, it's going to be Cool Kitty. On that Jin ADC. And Superior on that Karma support.
And for the red side, we have the Bangkok Titans. In the top lane, we have Entresso. On that Shen. In the jungle, we have Sek. On that Gragas, mid lane G4 on his Zed, and for that bottom lane duo, we have that Kog'Maw and Tahm Kench being played by Lloyd and What the Jest, respectively.
Yes, the latest update on Tahm Kench is actually the nerf on the top lane Tahm Kench, but a buff on support Tahm Kench.
Yeah,
but considering getting paired up with Kog'Maw, my question to Nick is this a good combo?
Yeah, I really like this bot lane. It's actually very annoying as it allows Kog'Maw to just play so aggressive. And then after a while, you can just eat the Kog'Maw and just run away. So it makes trading pretty safe in this bottom lane. And we should be seeing that very soon from Lloyd and What the Jest.
That's the bar. Whenever push comes to shove, it's Kog'Maw seeing.
Yeah.
It's a matter of timing that the bar. Whenever crowd control is about to hit Kog'Maw, that would be like game-changing.
However, this Jin does have a pretty favorable matchup against this Kog'Maw in the early stages of this laning phase. So we should expect Cool Kitty to come ahead with an early lead. Yeah. And once it comes to the mid game, once Kog'Maw finishes his run-ons, etc., he might start to pick up that steam and really show what he's made of. And I'm actually interested to see if Lloyd is going to go for this Wits End Kog'Maw that we've been starting to see quite a bit. It's going to be really interesting. Meanwhile, once again, we actually see that lead being built up. There's an 18 to 12 CS in that bottom.
Yeah, especially with this Karma combo, I would say for this bottom lane, there's going to be a lot of pokes and damage in the front line for this bottom group of Kuala Lumpur Hunters. Whereas, it's a classic matchup, Gragas and Elise. It's a matter of, who will influence the lanes better. What about this Zed and Syndra matchup?
Zed
you
and
haven't seen
Syndra,
this for a while.
To be honest, I don't know much about this matchup. I'm just excited to watch it. Like, I'm just gonna go in there blind and just enjoy every moment of it. And meanwhile, we see Cuspiel in that jungle on that Elise, bullying out Sek really hard. That was actually a really smart pathing coming in from him. He went blue buff, Wolves, and then immediately went to blue buff, Wolves, Scuttle Crab, then invaded Sek in the blue buff, knowing that Sek started on the top side of the map. So very smart pathing from him, and actually managed to get Sek very, very low, already establishing that early jungle pressure.
Cuspiel has been known to be a very aggressive jungler too. For the side of Kuala Lumpur Hunters, there's another flash on top of that Cocoon, plus the full combo from the Dark Spear and Force of Will of Syndra. No escape there for G4.
And that's the aggression we were talking about. Very confident flash Cocoon right there. And we already have that one assist onto Azora Becky. And that one kill on Elise is going to snowball a bit hard. We already see Elise going very aggressive with those mobility boots right off the bat.
Whoa,
so he's going to be looking to just put so much pressure on the map. possibly gank this bottom lane and this mid lane even further. And meanwhile, it looks like 13 Ghost is having a very good time in this top lane, managing to bully out Intereso pretty early. And it shouldn't be quite offset actually, as 13 Ghost, he did manage to recall a bit early and get those items and immediately go in and try to punish Intereso. No kill, however. But once Intereso gets back into lane, it looks like it should stabilize quite a bit.
Influence the lanes as much as possible. Mobility boots, at least maybe he's winning the trade up with the Gragas. Maybe he can hunt down the enemy jungler.
Yeah.
Put the pressure on that one too. But right now she's seating Caspel that is on the Wolf Camp, but you can see second here getting spotted out as he tries to remove this pink ward. The good thing about the mobility boots, you can see Caspel now catch up, trying to get maybe all out this jungle. But he's going for the pink ward. So lots of safety here being put by Bangkok Titans in terms of the map and ward control.
I really like that bluff that 13 Ghost did. He went very aggressive onto Sec despite Elise being very far away. So for the Bangkok Titans side, they assume, oh, why is 13 Ghost playing so aggressive? That means Elise might be nearby. But instead, Elise was actually making his way towards the mid lane. And if there was no ward in that mid lane, that might have been a very easy gank for G4. Because G4 would have been able to play very aggressive, saying, okay, Elise is on the top side, I can push up a bit and then get punished by Elise. Instead, the pink ward was there to save him. So that early pink ward by G4 paying off very well.
It's like you're playing to control the calls of your enemy team. Trying to make assumptions, trying to make false assumptions. This is going to be Caspiel now. He's dealing crazy damage even though he's not sitting on that, or rather damage item. As you can see that the item, or rather jungle item, is not yet completed. Mobility boots, that is flash in, coming in from Cool Kitty, but still no kill yet on the 3 versus 3 skirmish on the blue side jungle.
That's the power of the Tahm Kench. He just gets your teammates in out of so many bad positions, and then it just becomes very noticeable come late game. Like in the late game, getting your AD carry caught out could be the difference between winning or losing. However, Tahm Kench can offset that, just eat him, flash away, and you're good. And we saw that right there. It looks like Sek should have died, and Lloyd should have died as well. However, very unfortunate for KLH, as if they were able to get that, they might have been able to secure that early dragon. The Cloud Drake would have been very useful for the Elise. Mobility boots plus Cloud Drake would have been able to put so much pressure on the map. However, as a result, it was still in favor of KLH. They did burn a lot of summoners on the Bangkok Titan side. A lot of pressure has been created, and look at the CS advantages being built up. We see a 12 CS lead in that bottom lane and roughly a 9 CS lead in that mid.
Yeah, as you have mentioned, Jhin, there's like clear early game advantage against this Kog'Maw from Cool Kitty. But look at that, how Zorbeki is playing this Mon, this mid lane, so well against G4. G4, we're not seeing any death mark yet. Does G4 know? Maybe he knows that Zorbeki has no ultimate. But of course, Zorbeki is sitting under turret. So also, you wouldn't want to bury yourself.
Yeah, and I think he just wants to play very safe, as he doesn't really have that much vision control. The only wards he has is actually that bush on the bottom part of the map. The top side of the map completely dark, and he just wants to keep it safe. As let's say he does get ganked, he does get punished by going too aggressive, then that would have been really bad for the Bangkok Titan team, as the Syndra might start to snowball.
Yeah, the Syndra might start to snowball, and what you actually want is for the Zed to ramp up kills. And things are looking kind of awkward coming in from G4, though he gets that gank. Of course, we have to consider he gets that gank coming in from Caspel, and right now the pressure from Caspel is heavily felt. Given that mobility boots, it's like working so well. He's putting up good presence over the bottom lane. Though no kill has been given, Cool Kitty's flash has been used. So maybe they can capitalize on that one if ever G4 decided to go for the bottom lane.
And this is actually, we're coming to that point in the game where Shen starts to get his ultimate. So you might see a lot of counter ganks coming in from this Shen. However, the Echo's been doing a very good job of putting pressure on this Shen. So we'll see how this pans out if Intereso is able to capitalize on his ult.
For an Echo and Shen matchup, what do you think can happen? I mean, not considering their influence on other lanes.
Just like the matchup solely in the top lane.
For the top lane. Because it's interesting how Echo is really putting up good pressure.
I actually think that believe Shen might have the advantage in the top lane as Echo's become quite reliant on his auto attacks in this current iteration of him, where you build that Triforce and you just rely on applying the passive as much as possible. So the W kind of counteracts that, and Shen's just really good at dueling with that auto attack scenario.
It's the good thing about Shen right now. I mean, one would consider Shen as a tank, but also he's actually a good duelist.
Yeah.
Even his kids, especially, he has no mana, he's a flipping ninja. All of them, no? All of them are like, they have this passive called flipping ninja. Or is that
they removed that actually a while ago.
That one?
I'm pretty sure they removed it.
Why did they remove that one? And actually, what does that do?
It actually there was a funny glitch with this. So back in the day, if there was several ninjas on your team, you'd lose 1 attack damage for every ninja on your team. So if you had a Kennen, Shen, and an Akali, you'd lose 1 attack damage for every one on your team. But the problem was, Akali's ultimate passive gave you this. So once you reach a certain threshold of bonus attack damage, you gain lifesteal. And once you reach a certain threshold for AP, you gain extra damage. But the thing is, if there was a Shen or a Kennen on your team, you would lose the damage needed to get the lifesteal. So it messed you up in the early game because you wouldn't have your lifesteal from level 1. So they changed it to losing 1 HP, and then eventually they just removed it altogether, I think.
Okay. Why would they even do that?
Back in the day, I guess it was all about the puns and just doing fun things.
Yeah,
really.
maybe.
Yeah. Well, then I guess nowadays League of Legends has become
maybe
more
they just forget about the Akali ultimate, that it could be a big factor.
Yeah.
For
like,
players.
people would build very specific rune pages so they'd have the exact amount of AD to get that passive. And then there's a Kennen on your team, you don't have that passive anymore. And then you're kind of screwed.
What about Kennen on the enemy team?
No, it's just on your team together.
Only on your team?
Yeah.
Alright, so guys, we're just waiting out to reload over the summer series. Once again, what you are watching is GPL, and we are once again back! Oh, you can see, I think that's, we've seen that combo earlier.
Yeah.
That, scatter the weak on top of that force of will. Just a little bit of counter on this one, but I think it would be fixed right now, as you can see how Karma, or rather Superior, these bottom duo here of Kuala Lumpur Hunters are now going back to their respective lanes.
And we can see right there, the Ghost is just doing no damage to Intresso in that top lane, and Shen's doing a pretty good job of keeping up in CS with Ghost right now in this top. Meanwhile, Sek, not really having the best time. He has been doing a pretty good job of keeping up in CS, however, he is still pretty far behind. Hasn't really had an opportunity to gank any lane yet.
Right now, let's see, yes, you have mentioned Shen has his ultimate up. And right now, Echo is actually has legal. Of course, you run the risk still of getting that teleport counter gank from the top laner of Kuala Lumpur Hunters. Now that in a few seconds it will be available. So you can see how the wards are being played out here from these two teams. Like, there's a lot of investment only on the Reaper side. Nobody's running to this yet to dive and put off those aggressive wards.
Yeah, so very safe play actually coming in from the bottom lane so far. It's only been the junglers who've been really putting down this pressure right now. And I'm actually curious to see what Lloyd is going to build. Will he go for the Wit's End or will he go for the Ronin's Hurricane as his first item?
Yeah, I think
it looks like it's going to be Ronin.
Yeah, Ronin's.
Yeah.
Because for the Wit's End, it's actually effective when you're like facing a Kassadin.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, if you take a look at KLH, you have a lot of magic damage actually. You have that Karma. Syndra, Elise, and Echo. So I think the Wit's End might be a pretty good investment.
Yes, and we can see here Dark Denmark Rider by G4, but it pulled off also Zona Becky. G4 has lost all his cooldowns, so that prompts Intresso to flash in and finish the kill. But that's 4 members collapsing onto him. You have to take note. Intresso already used his teleport. He's going to be trading up with Caspel as he's trying to buy time for 3 members to back him up. I think they are getting zoned out, and here comes the vertical. It won't be connecting onto Intresso, but rather the team goes will finish the kill. That is a 1 or rather a 2-for-1 exchange in favor of Kuala Lumpur.
And that was just a very good collapse coming from KLH. They were 3 seconds ahead of the rest of the BK team and responding to that play, and as a result, they were able to secure that extra kill. And now we see G4 0-2-1 so far, so that's not the best start for this Zed. And he's gonna actually struggle quite a bit coming into this mid game as he starts to look for those 6. And meanwhile, we do see Syndra was able to pick up that kill, so looking to build possibly the Hourglass or the Morellonomicon as his first item. Hasn't really decided between the two yet, and we do see Sex setting up for that gank in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and that's a full combo being used by G4. They're not enough to get the seat over this bottom lane. Skull Kitty, a methodical pick-off, getting initiated by Sek on top of that. That's a flash body slam combo on top of that,
and that's exactly what BK needed to stabilize themselves in this game. You get that Kog'Maw early, you ensure that he's able to scale further into this game, and with that kill on him, and the pressure applied in this bottom lane, it should be looking very good for BKT. As it's coming towards this mark where people tend to start getting this, approaching the dragon. Roughly the 13-14 minute mark is when teams generally go for their first dragon in the game. So they are on pretty good pace to complete their important items before this dragon happens.
Imagine, as you mentioned, this Caspiel, Senior Mobility Boots, that if they manage to snag up that Cloud Drake, would be nice, really. That's a big movement speed boost given onto these Elise.
Yeah, meanwhile, the top lane, we do see Entresso is just so tanky right now. Ghost is just doing no damage to him whatsoever.
Yeah,
and
sitting on a lot of magic resist.
He has
the mantle, the cloak, and I think what Bangkok Titans has to work on.
I'm actually curious why he has the cloak and the ruby crystal. Is he gonna go for the Solari or is he gonna build another mantle? I'm not sure.
I think maybe Merc, an opener.
Oh, Merc boots and then just have the mantle preparing for advantage. That makes sense.
Yes. And right now, here's another gun coming in from Sek. That tempo is being lost here by Caspiel. It's Sek's turn now to put on the aggressions, evening out the scoreboard. 3-3, ladies and gentlemen, as they manage to bring the second death onto Ozora Becky. And you can see Caspiel pulling up a bad mistake here in the mid lane. Did not took notice of the ultimate coming in from Shen. He gets executed from that explosive cast. There can a collapse onto Sergico. Here comes Superior coming in. Go Kitty. He gets licked here by what the Jess. But of course the damage is lacking for the side of BKT as Lloyd is just about to enter the fight, and that is a 1-for-1 exchange. Still on the scoreboard, we are sitting on 4-4.
Yeah, and I mean Caspiel went way too aggressive. Used his repel as a initiating tool rather than as an escape tool, and as a result he did get punished for that. The Shen ultimate was there to respond immediately.
Didn't consider the Stand United.
Yeah, the Stand United was there. Echo a bit too slow on the response. However, they did manage to pick up that kill in the end, so 1-for-1, it's okay, I guess. But it could have been better.
The power of an Elise is actually the damage coming in from the Venomous Bite. Like, it is based off on the missing health. But the thing is, whenever you go for that one final bite, you run the risk, or you easily get countered by the shield of the Stand United, and that's what happened. Caspiel was prompt to be aggressive because he's thinking that he could get the kill coming from that Venomous Bite. But shield from Stand United once again.
And we do see Kog'Maw has picked up the Wits End, so it wasn't the Ronans. He did go for that Wits End build, popularized by the Africa Freaks. So let's see how this is going to pan out for this Kog'Maw. 1-0-0 already. He has a pretty big power spike right now. That MR Shred is going to be doing a lot of work. It's going to really help for this Gragas, really. Actually, the rest of the Bangkok Titan team won't really benefit from the MR Shred, but
we said this is one of the oldest items in the game.
Yeah. It's gone through several iterations so
far. It's been on several iterations.
Yeah.
Many revisions also.
Yeah, I can't remember the last what it was before, but I remember I used to build it a lot.
Is it still giving like? Is it still stacking magic resist whenever you take the hit, or is that a magic resist shred?
No, it used to drain mana. That's what Withstand used to do.
Drain mana.
Yeah, it used to drain mana. It was really strong. You just stack AP and then it drained 40 mana each hit. So you can imagine how strong that was.
But the mana drain doesn't deal damage to health. Just mana drain.
It also does extra damage. So it does the
based
extra
on the
damage.
Mana no.
It's a flat rate of mana being drained.
Yeah. I I see. So, you know, once again, we have Wits End, ladies and gentlemen, an old name coming back into the game as well. Mentioned, popularized in China,
In
Africa,
the LCK.
LCK, Korea.
Yeah.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to enter the first quarter minute of the game. And you could see the scoreboard. 4-4, both are sitting on a 22 gold K mark.
Yeah.
And I think looking to the itemizations here, I think G4 is not really that behind. He has now like sizable KDA. Actually, 1-2 better KDA compared to Ozora Becky now.
Yeah, I mean, Ozora Becky has been getting camped pretty hard by Sek.
Yeah.
He really needs to finish that Hourglass, I think, if he wants to survive the burst coming in from G4. And here comes the gank in this bottom lane.
Yes, that also removes the pressure. But will they collapse? Oh no, they didn't manage to tag in. Lloyd, superior now, receives explosive gas. Dreamfest, ladies and gentlemen, Oktoberfest, that is. As you can see, this Gragas just setting it up for the counter engage. And Lloyd with the free hits. Just is the best guy to tank this turret, and Bangkok Titans is owning this bottom lane. A 2-0 exchange on top of that outer bottom lane turret.
And now it's the Kuala Lumpur Hunters who are a few seconds late to that response. Very good counter gank coming in from Sek. And the Shen Stand United is once again, not respected by the KLH team as they get punished. Again in this bottom lane. Let's take a look exactly what happens. They go a bit too aggressive on Lloyd and they overcommit a bit too much. And here comes the counter gank by Sek. Pretty good explosive cast right there. And here comes Shen. Gets that easy taunt. Gets the easy sweep onto Cool Kitty. And then after that, there's not really much you can do.
Yeah. I wonder, after the first engagement, when Lloyd flashed up, why didn't Caspiel just simply rappel onto Lloyd? At the very least, put pressure on the enemy ADC. He didn't rappel actually directly onto
that's
Lloyd.
true. He used it a bit later. Maybe he learned his lesson after
maybe there's
the mid lane.
After they realized that Lloyd is having free hits or getting the free hits. It's like Caspiel maybe hesitating. We shouldn't go in. Maybe that's the command to fall back already. But things look awkward.
Lloyd did a very good job of kiting. He's actually doing a lot of damage onto Sour Superior. During the entire fight, Superior was taking a lot of hits from Lloyd, the Wits End doing lots of work right there. And as a result, they were able to pick up several kills. Very good kiting by Lloyd, very good positioning in that team fight. Staying cool, calm, collected, despite a lot of being on the line right now. They're playing on a very big stage with a very big crowd, but Lloyd keeping his nerves in control.
And also that pick off onto G4, Kuala Lumpur Hunters, not flinching. After that loss over the bottom lane, they managed to snag up G4 in the mid lane and took also an outer mid lane turret for their own. We are seeding actually on a turret advantage, one turret advantage in favor of Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
And so far,
we're pretty even in terms of gold here. And I think this is the mid game phase.
We're roughly approaching mid game. These players are starting to build their second item so far. Lots of M are actually being built on the Bangkok Titan side. They're definitely going to need it. And let's take a look at what the game plan is for these two teams. We do see a lot of deep ward team plays. Another gank on the mid lane onto Ozora Becky. He gets bursted down immediately. And that's the kill. Easy kill for Bangkok Titans.
Not even pressing the Zhonya's Hourglass. And I think even if you activate the Zhonya's Hourglass,
there's nothing you can do.
Wow, Sek is just being on point and exact, putting the pressure here on the mid laner.
And I mean, now they should start looking for these turrets. We do see one turret being taken down already for Bangkok Titans. However, the rest of them are still up. Meanwhile, KLH, they don't have any turrets yet. KLH has two turrets actually. My mistake. They took that top lane turret. They took the mid lane. It's only the bottom one.
That's one turret advantage. So right now, if you look into the itemizations, you could see another the curved bow coming from the side of Lloyd.
That's gonna be the Ronan circuit for sure
now. You can see that the magic resist stack here by Bangkok Titans be really big. Enter the late game because they have like as you have mentioned, the scaling is actually in favor of Bangkok Titans. Given this Kog'Maw, so you need to just stack up those magic resistance to mitigate the damage from the Echo, from the Elise, from the Syndras, and all you need to do is just protect the Kog'Maw. And Jhin, Jhin hurts a lot in their late game. But the thing about Jhin is this inherent weakness of having 4 bullets. during team fights. And having that flat.
Yeah, she's very reliant on just getting those picks with his W and then using the curtain call to just get those snipes.
Yes! Oh, Lloyd! And there we go. Lloyd pushed to safety. Stand United being used and also the devour. So here comes the re-engage coming in from BKT. There's a flash down coming in from Intresa. Also, Unleash Power gets used here by Lloyd. But it's going to be Cashmill kissing the ground. The Spider getting bits here by the Bangkok Titans. Only 3 members are remaining from the Hunters. And Ghost, what is Ghost doing here? He's trying to make a pick onto Sek being devoured too. And look at Lloyd being very confident in the front line, just putting up those guys and Orc Walk. And I think that ends that team fight. Super Zero exchange in favor of Bangkok Titans. No, it won't be! G4 is trying to make a pick. Does G4 have the death mark? Yes, he does. He uses that onto Superior. G4 being overtly aggressive on that pick in the inner mid lane. Managed to kill Superior though. And I think the fight doesn't stop here as 13 goes for another re-engage. Tries to deal damage on the Intreso. And that is a 3-4-1 exchange in favor of Bangkok Titans.
Alright, so Lloyd just had really amazing kiting the entire team fight. I mean, the way he was just canceling the animations and just kiting, that was really amazing to watch. And meanwhile, what the Jess had very clutch W's right there during the entire fight. They are always on point, ensuring that his teammates always stayed alive. And I feel like if you're KLH and you're trying to run something with this Syndra and with this Jhin, you want to ban out this Tahm Kench coming into the next game, as that's just very difficult to deal with. And it's also very tilting. I mean, you're about to kill someone, you get a nice pick, and then all of a sudden the Tahm Kench just comes out of nowhere, eats him, runs away, and then all your efforts just wasted.
There was just a stun coming in from the Deadly Flourish of Cool Kitty. But of course, nobody was tagged yet. Lloyd. Lloyd could have died after that engage because of the poke coming in from Karma, plus the bullets of the curtain call. What the Jess is actually pretty far away. So Lloyd, good thing there's also the Stand United for BKT, and that's where it all went south for Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
Yeah, Bangkok Titans playing their team composition very well, and KLH, it looks like they're not going to give up without a fight, going very aggressive, trying to take this bottom turret. However, they will back away as the rest of the Bangkok Titans are responding. And if you take a look at the items, BKT, they've already completed all of their second items. Rodan Hurricane is already completed. The Spirit Visage has been completed onto the Gragas and the Sunfire Cape, and the Spirit Visage as well on the Shen. So their items are pretty big. Despite only a 2,000 gold lead coming in for Bangkok Titans, it's a lot more significant than that. As if you take a look at KLH, they might have the gold, but they don't have the complete item to match the gold. As Jhin, he only has the component for his Duskblade. But he doesn't have the Duskblade itself. And that's
even the BF sword.
That's a really big gap between these two teams right now.
And look at here. I recall AEX mentioning their match against Kuala Lumpur Hunters. Where Kuala Lumpur Hunters is really good when it comes to playing the Vision War. And earlier, before the re-engage or advance here of Bangkok Titans, Kuala Lumpur Hunters is making sure that they are setting up the proper wards, entering this Cloud Drake. But I think they didn't properly time the minion wave in such a way that Bangkok Titans managed to advance and just easily take off this Cloud Drake. Lots of mobility now coming in for the side of Bangkok Titans. You have this mobility. Oh my god, G4 once again sitting on a ward. You can see the Stand United on top of that death mark. That buys time for Intresa to join the fight. Also the explosive gas being used. Bangkok Titans, as we have mentioned here, playing their composition properly.
Yeah, I thought G4 was done for once that cocoon landed onto him. However, so many help coming in immediately
and
from the
Bangkok
Titan team. The Stand United was there immediately. Sek was there as well. And looks like BKT, they're not going to hesitate. They're going immediately for this Baron. It looks like KLH is onto them, but they are quite far away. It's only the Syndra and Echo who are near enough to really do something. And this Baron's already at 1/4 HP left. Ghost isn't giving up. Wow. He's going to go for it.
13 Ghost is even going to flash. It's going to be the smite now. Big stolen there by Caspiel. And you can see this is a team fight breaking out. Kuala Lumpur Hunters trying to make those picks. They're still getting punished though from that living artillery.
And that was definitely worth it right there. The gold is now very even right now, and if we take a look, 5 members of KLH do have this Baron, so they're going to be able to put so much pressure on the map right now. They didn't lose anyone for that Baron steal. Very well played by Ghost, very well played by Caspiel, and unfortunate for the BKT team as that Baron was what they needed to really close this game out very early. However, they don't need to fret as their team composition is very late game scaling, so they're still in the green.
Going back to Lloyd, I recall that orb walk of Lloyd, the cancel animation on that Kog'Maw.
Yeah.
Really nice. I recall this stream by AmaCutiePie where he faced off a Korean scripter where the Korean player was using a Kog'Maw with the maximum attack speed and the way he orb walks. It's like the Kog'Maw is just keeps on flipping, and it's really funny to look at. Like, it's very impossible a human could do that. Very fast. Like, the attack speed is not being mitigated by the orb walk being done here.
Yeah.
And right now, going back into this game, Kuala Lumpur Hunters making sure that that Baron buff will be put to good use. Sec, he has used his explosive gas. Stand United also being used. Back of Tyrants, the Tyrants being pushed. Their backs against the wall as this Baron buff, a game-changing smite steal is there by Caspiel. Puts them at an advantage to take this inner mid lane turret.
They should be able to take this turret fairly soon now, and we do see that G4 is looking to get a pick on the wing right now. Ghost putting pressure in this bottom lane. I really like this play, the 4-1 mid push coming in from this KLH team. And let's see what BKT is going to do about this.
Haven't seen Ozora Becky use that Zonia's Hourglass yet.
Yeah, he actually hasn't used it yet. I wonder when he's going to use it.
Well, it's very likely he's going to use it on the Denmark. But of course, G4 will be wise to consider that Zonia's Hourglass. That's the thing about the Zed. It's not really... I mean, the Zonia's Hourglass doesn't really... I mean, it counters Zed, definitely. For the Denmark mechanic. That prompts the Zed to stop using that mark onto you. But that doesn't mean it stops using that mark on other members. And, you know, Zed... The strong point of Zed is not really the death mark, but the passive, the contempt for the weak. You know, the one that gives him bonus damage whenever the enemy self is low.
Yeah, that's pretty strong, but G4 has been playing pretty aggressive. I think he's playing too overconfident actually over these past couple fights. He's getting caught several times, but he still manages to get saved or get something out of it.
This is what happens when you don't roll standard picks.
So I really think you need to adjust that playstyle coming into the rest of the best of 5 series, as that could cost you a game if you're not careful. That could cost you the best of 5 series.
Yeah. You can see here, Kuala Lumpur Hunters making a rotation for the top lane.
Yeah, this Baron buff is almost out, so they're just trying to capitalize.
The Baron buff is actually now out, so this is one window now for Back of Tyrants, but look at how that inner top lane turret goes. Very fast. Coming from the damage being done here. I think with the Elise Spiders plus also Jhin and also Echo. On this one.
Lots of damage.
Yeah, but still you can see there's a recall coming in from the Shen. No, he won't. He's gonna stop that recall. He's gonna continue maybe controlling the vision here of the red side. There's the recall. There's also the rotation for the mid lane turret. I think, let's see what Intresso will ban. So he's gonna go for a Phage Sunfire Cape after the recall. Also Kog'Maw. So that's gonna reset the situation here.
I'm guessing that might be the Triforce for the Shen. Interesting.
Oh yeah.
So he has
to become a Black
he has the Giant spell. I doubt he's gonna build Black Cleaver. That'd be weird.
Yeah. That would be very weird. So right now though, look at the map here. Only one outside of the base turret is standing for the side of the Bangkok Tyrants. And even after the Baron buff being expired. Oh no!
Nice flank.
Yes, you can see how Sec is just setting that one up. Things became explosive here. Kuala Lumpur Hunters being haunted here by the Titans. So Lenzi is gonna escape. They're on the chase on the Superior. Superior after receiving the exhaust. The re-engage here, even though with the Cloud is kind of lacking. for the side of Bangkok Titans, they are used to doing the counter engage, not the engage alone, but that's one thing. Cool Kitty being gone, the ADC of Kuala Lumpur
1 for
Hunters.
0, and with this, they should be able to take 1, if not 2 turns from this play. The rest of KLH do have to recall, and I didn't see Zach coming in at all. I was actually really surprised when he just splashed in and got that pick onto Cool Kitty. Really well played by him.
Yes, and of course, after the second inner turret, mid lane, where's the next objective? This is the Cloud Drake. Oh, wow, look at that. So you can see 13 goes. Making sure putting pressure and stress in the map, split pushing.
And this is actually going to be the third Cloud Drake of Bangkok Titans.
Wow.
So with this, it's going to be extremely mobile, and they should be able to put a lot of pressure on this map.
Good thing it's an off-combat move.
Yeah.
And
if it was in combat, that would have been a terror Kog'Maw.
yeah. Let's see though, ladies and gentlemen, you could see Kuala Lumpur Hunters setting the bear traps here on the right side jungle of Bangkok Titans. Looking into the itemizations here, even though sitting on the 0-3-0 KDA, Cool Kitty now has the Dust Blade completed. But Rage Blade on top of the Runaways. Lloyd actually also building a Hex Drinker. Lots of magic resist.
Yeah, they're really looking to just...
So it's like Bangkok Titans has kept everything in check.
Yeah.
They may lose a good amount of turret in this game because of that Baron buff blunder, but they have the ADC sitting on 3 deaths, and they are rolling on a high amount of magic resist in this game.
Yeah.
So if you have like the ADC not having the best items in this game, it will look really nice.
You can just focus on just the magic damage carries of this KLH team. However, this Jhin, you don't want to ignore it completely. Even though he's 0-3, he still hurts with that Ghost Blade and the Dust Blade.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have to take note that Kog'Maw is in the top lane. Now, Kuala Lumpur Hunters knows they got vision of the Kog'Maw in the top lane. There are no teleports for the Kog'Maw. They could actually rotate to make that pick, but of course, Lloyd will be wise to fall back, making sure that the waves are still in control. You know, Tenaeus but Cio still, even in the late game phase. And I think our game is just, you know, taking a steady pace. Though, there's the Baron buff. Now alive. Maybe some music. And look at the ward combination by Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
Yeah, despite the 5k gold advantage for Bangkok Titans, this is actually a very 5-kill gold advantage rather. 5-kill advantage, no gold, just 5 kills.
5 kills, yes.
It's actually a very close game in regards to gold. So, I'm excited to see what's going to happen, but I feel like as this game goes on, Bangkok Titans are going to start to creep away with this lead.
Yeah, Bangkok Titans also has still 3 pink wards in their packets. It's actually a... the next fight, I'd say, would be a Vision War for this blue side jungle.
They really want to secure this Baron, as if they're able to establish complete vision control of the Baron, they can immediately take this, as that Kog'Maw is just going to shred the Baron so fast.
Yeah. And actually, there's some pressure being built in the top lane. Now, Lloyd. Oh my god! G4 receives the Deadly Flourish plus the Cocoon, full combo. But is that... Oh, there's a shadow away. So, that will be a top lane outer turret falling into the hands of Bangkok Titans. So, at the very least, that removes pressure for this bottom buff. Denmark now being used onto Ghost. There's no parallel convergence to Denmark will be proc. Plus a flush being gone here onto the Ghost. And look at the matching here. Oh, look at that explosive cast. Explosive cast being used, but won't be a no use. But still, you can see how their team goes will kiss the ground. What the Jess being caught out of position. And Caspel here. Now Intereso will be on the chase in the front line for the rest of his teammates. But you could also see how scattered Kuala Lumpur Hunter is. This could prompt Bangkok Titans to maybe take a Baron, or maybe just remove or control the vision. Let's see.
So that was a 1-for-1, and in favor of Bangkok Titans, as they did get that shutdown bonus goal, and without that Echo, there's not that much pressure, so BK Carrying to freely take this. This Baron buff is already, Baron's already at half HP, but they need to back out or this is going to be really bad.
This fight will heavily rely onto Lloyd. Look at Lloyd's positioning. Actually, Baron deals a good amount of damage in the back line. G4 is now gone. Gaspel is in the battlefield. Gaspel is
Wow.
gone. No spot for the side of Kuala Lumpur Hunters. Baron is in the height of the Bangkok Titans. And you can see here only 2 members remaining on the reverse side. For the side of Kuala Lumpur Hunters, Sek Intresso is on the chase. Here comes one the just teleport also from 13 goes. Superior is trying his best to buy time, but won't be. No backup coming in from 13 goes, and that is on top of the Baron bomb. A 4-for-1 exchange in favor of Bangkok Titans.
We need to watch that again. That was an insane display of mechanics coming in from Lloyd. He managed to use his Rodent's Hurricane so effectively despite getting caught by the Syndra Scatter the Weak combo right there. He was still able to do the damage. Take a look at exactly what happens. Here comes the ball.
Observe
the Dark Spear, Scatter the Weak. Manages to hit Lloyd, and here comes the repel from Caspiel. It looks like this fight's gonna go immediately for KLH's side as Cool Kitty does get that snipe. However, look at Lloyd right here.
Yeah, that's a 4
He flashes out of range of Ozooka Becky right there. Gets the Rodent's Hurricane on both the Elise and the Syndra.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is just Shen and the Gragas just cleaning up, just so tanky right there.
Lloyd is the name of a game. Lloyd is the name of that team fight. Ladies and gentlemen, the 3 Cloud Drake plus the Baron Buff will be massive now for Bangkok Titans. They can easily put pressure on both the mid lane and one of the side lanes respectively, because if they have like 3 Cloud Drakes, they can easily translate and back up whenever someone will be caught out here by the Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
This is going to be the Elder Drake on top of this Baron buff. KLH cannot let this slip through, or else it's going to spell trouble for them. Lloyd, that's the power of the Tahm Kench right there.
Yes, Tahm Kench, ladies and gentlemen, with the Devour. You know, Lloyd doesn't have to worry about this position. I mean, if they have bought the Jess, it's a matter of you just have your eyes set on the ADC. But of course, there's a trade-off in the top lane. We could see this classic combo. The top laners, 2 guys with the teleports. Though those teleports are now on cooldown, will not join the 4v4 team fight. You can see there's a pressure now being built here by Kuala Lumpur Hunters. They're maybe trying to warn Bangkok Titans that they're gonna go for the mid lane push. But look at this trade-off on the top lane. One of the longest hit and run fight we will see here at GPL. You know, it's kind of ridiculous whenever you play a match by 2 times.
Yeah. Well, you know what's even more ridiculous? 2 supports. That's even more ridiculous.
2 Soraka.
Yeah, 2 Soraka.
Yes, man. So, let's go. We have Bangkok Titans here setting up first on this Elder Drake. Elder Drake now sitting below half health. Caspiel is in range. Caspiel has no flash though. He has the repel. He gets re-engaged here. Look at Lloyd. How he guides those members of Kuala Lumpur Hunters. Caspiel's Guardian Angel being used here. I wonder what's up with Caspiel building that Guardian Angel. And now we have Bangkok Titans. A free Elder Drake in their pocket, looking big in this game in terms of kill. They have twice the kill of Kuala Lumpur Hunters.
Yeah, so while their Baron buff is about to expire, they do have this Elder Drake, and Elder Drake doesn't last for that long, so they really need to make use of it right now, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're going for this play right here in this mid lane, looking to push them down. Let's see what they decide to do. Looks like they're just going to go to the top lane, take the free turret.
And why did Sek use that ultimate?
I think that would actually been very good. However, Ozooka was able to get the Scatter the Weak and push him away.
I see.
Yeah. But
so
if that didn't happen, Ozooka would have definitely got a pick, and that would have been a sure turret in that mid lane.
Alright, so this is one of the fastest teams you'll ever see in GPL. 3 Cloud Drakes on top of that Elder Drake. Now they're destroying all of the outer chariots here of Kuala Lumpur Hunters. They are knocking on the doors. The 2 of Kuala Lumpur Hunters trying to make a pick up here. The top lane inhibitor chariot that is. Let's see though, they're just waiting out for their minion. Cocoon on cooldown for the side of Caspiel though. Sek's ultimate will be up too, I think. Just in time for this siege. Just in time if they want to initiate on this. Let's see though. Ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Kuala Lumpur Hunters not even daring to go near. Things are looking really dangerous here for Kuala Lumpur Hunters. This is like They're not being pushed in a position to take this team fight. As you can see, Hausek is just sitting in the front line. What I can say is the magic disease is really paying off so well for the side of Bangkok Titans. But here comes the re-engage from Kuala Lumpur Hunters. Will this be the proper engage? You can see the death mark being used onto Kurkini. The awesome shield being given onto G4. That won't be enough. That's the support though, securing the kill onto Bangkok Titans mid laner. And here comes Lloyd in the front line. Even Lloyd willing to flash in. Castle gonna touch him. Also Becky. Lloyd is sitting on front of the parallel convergence, but the Devour is there. The insurance coming in from Champions. 3 members are now gone for Kuala Lumpur Hunters, and this is Bangkok Titan. Maybe this is Bangkok Titan's game.
Yeah, there's 40 seconds on these Death Titans right now, so they should be able to do lots of damage onto the base of the Kuala Lumpur Hunters. Going very aggressive there, and it looks like Bangkok Titans might have stepped up with that G4 display. However, they managed to pull it off. Really good play from what the Jess actually just eating. I believe it was Entresso as he was about to die. And as a result, Bangkok Titans still came out on top. Weren't able to get any turrets from that. However, it's all good in the hood.
That Devour.
Yeah.
That Devour from what is just really nice. Making sure that he's gonna eat up his members or his allies just in time whenever the Kuala Lumpur Hunters will go for that kill. And the thing about Kuala Lumpur Hunters' composition, it's either they have good range or they have good gap closers.
Yeah.
And good gap closers is heavily countered by Tamken's Devour. Because whenever you go in, rappel in, or face dive for the kill, that's the problem. Even Syndra, actually, Ozora Becky, if he wants to flash in and make that combo, just Devour.
Yeah. And I'm actually not sure if Bangkok Titans planned the Tahm Kench pick to counter the Syndra, as if you take a look at the pick and ban, go back to pick and ban, Tahm Kench was picked first rotation. Meanwhile, Syndra was picked at the very last pick for KLH.
Yeah,
so
I think the Tahm Kench pick was just done to really complement the combo.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Because Tahm Kench doing a pretty good job of shutting down the Syndra as well. And why did Ghost teleport in? What's he doing? He's to get caught out. Where's his team?
We could see, let's see the Chrono ship being used here. But Sir Jin Ghost now gone. Only a 4v5 situation. And look at Cool Kitty being isolated here. G4 is back, ladies and gentlemen, into the late game set. That is double kill, killing the mid laner also. And they're gonna collapse onto Superior, picking up members of Kuala Lumpur Hunters one by one. The Living Artillery won't connect. You can see the regeneration coming in from the focus result. But actually, if they just put pressure on the turrets, they could
end this game right now.
They can end this game.
They're going a bit too bloodthirsty, trying to get these kills. Let's see if they do actually decide to end this game, as there is a lot of minions actually knocking on the Nexus doors right now, and it looks like this will be game 1 going to the Bangkok Titans in this best of 5 series here at the semi-finals of the Grenada Premier League 2016 summer.
Nice. What a really good performance coming in from Bangkok Titans. I mean, you know, there's the, as you have mentioned, the composition of Kuala Lumpur Hunters is like more pick-oriented. Like, they could actually take these leader skirmishes. Actually, Caspel has done a good job at the early game, securing that first blood on the G4. And it's quite clear how G4 has been kept in check after that gank. But I would say for the early game, Sek also did a good job.
Sek actually managed to step up quite a bit. His early game was very shaky, getting out-rotated by Caspiel. However, he was able to make it up with those ganks in the bottom lane and in that mid lane. And while the gold lead was actually very even throughout most of the game, that's not what KLH needed to win the game, as BKT had the harder scaling team composition. And we saw in that game, once they got going, it was just all downhill for KLH.
Well, and this is game 1.
Yeah, anything can happen in a best of 5 series. I mean, yesterday we saw SKT get reverse swept by the KT. So who knows?
Who knows, ladies and gentlemen. Even that Syndra, I think Bangkok Titans has sent a message to Ozora Becky. Sitting on a 2-7-3 KDA as I'm seeing on the end game screen. Let's see what will Kuala Lumpur Hunters do after that game. They are actually live in Vietnam.
Yeah, they're live.
On the stadium.
Really big stadium.
Yes,
Looks
big
really
stadium.
nice.
Yes, big shoutouts also to our Philippine representative there in Vietnam, Acclaimed Empire X. Once again, this is the first leg of the semi-finals of the Garena Premier League Best of 5 series between Kuala Lumpur Hunters versus Bangkok Titans. And we have been your shoutcasters. I am Shinboom the One for an eye. And of course with me is Neep, your analyst. Ladies and gentlemen, game 1 is finished. Bangkok Titans took that one. We'll see you guys on game 2. Just stay right there.